Forget everything you know about expensive football transfers, fancy goals, and VAR chaos. Today, we're going to talk about the 3 absolute sickest stories from the world of football that no one talks about on YouTube. We're talking about the player who was sold for charcuterie. For those of you who don't know what that means, it's meat-based foods that have been processed and preserved to extend their shelf life or change their taste. A legendary coach who hated handbag dogs, and the match where one team played with too many players on purpose. Stay tuned because this is completely true.
We start in Romania. The year is 2006. Defender Marius Cioara is to be sold from his club UT Arad to Regal Horia. But the clubs have no money. So what do? Of course, you negotiate a transfer fee in pork sausages. Yes, you heard right. The price tag for a professional football player was exactly 15 kilos of sausage. But the crazy thing is not the deal itself. It's what happened afterwards. The media got wind of this, and Cioara became the joke of the whole country overnight. His own teammates mocked him so rudely that he had enough. The day after the transfer, he quit football altogether, moved to Germany, and started working in a warehouse just to avoid being called the sausage.
From Romania to England, and one of football's toughest men, Roy Keane. When he was manager of Ipswich Town, he was pursuing striker Ross McCormack. The deal was essentially done. McCormack arrived at the stadium to sign the contract. Since he didn't have a driver's license, his wife drove him there. And that is where it all fell apart. His wife stepped out of the car carrying a small, fluffy lapdog in her handbag. Roy Keane looked out the window, saw the little dog in the bag, and turned bright red with rage. To Keane, there was nothing worse than modern, soft football culture. He was so provoked by the sight that he immediately called off the meeting, refused to sign the paperwork, and sent the player home. The dog, in effect, cost him the contract of a lifetime. Last but not least, November 1945. Arsenal are facing the Russian side, Dynamo Moscow in London. Shortly after kickoff, one of the thickest London fogs in history rolls onto the pitch. You literally couldn't see your hand in front of your face. Yet the referee refuses to call the game off. Then things spiral completely out of control. The Russian team makes a substitution, but the player due to leave the pitch ignores the instruction and hides in the fog. Suddenly, Dynamo Moscow are playing with 12 men on the field. Arsenal don't notice a thing because nobody can see anything. A little later, an Arsenal player gets sent off. What does he do? He walks out into the fog, circles the pitch, and sneaks back in on the other side. Nobody noticed that either.